ever had one of those days that starts completely normally and then something happens that you didn't expect? Well, that happened to me today. And honestly, it wasn't a big thing. Nobody got hurt. I didn't win anything. I didn't meet a famous person. But somehow, one small moment completely changed my day. So today, instead of teaching you English, I just want to talk to you. I'm going to tell you what I did today, and there's a little story in the middle. While you're listening, don't worry about understanding every single word. Just listen. And if you hear a sentence you like, try to say it with me. Ready? Okay. Let's start with this morning. I woke up at around 7 this morning. Well, that's not completely true. I woke up at 7, but I didn't get out of bed at 7. There's a big difference. I stayed in bed for another 20 minutes. And yes, I know what you're thinking. 20 minutes? I know. I told myself, I'll just stay here for 5 minutes. 5 minutes became 10, 10 became 20, and suddenly I was looking at my phone, checking messages, watching a short video, and wondering why I was late. Classic. So finally, I got out of bed, I opened the window, and the weather was actually really nice. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't cold. It was one of, those mornings when you think, okay, today is going to be a good day. And I believed it. That was my first mistake because I had no idea what was coming. I went to the kitchen and made myself some coffee. I'm not a person who can have a serious conversation early in the morning. Before coffee? No, absolutely not. My brain is still sleeping. I had my coffee, ate something small, and started getting ready. While I was getting ready, I was thinking about everything I had to do today. I had a few things to finish. I had some work to do. I also wanted to go outside for a little while. And of course, I wanted to practice my English. Actually, that's, one of the reasons I started making these videos, because I realized something. Sometimes we spend so much time studying English that we don't, spend enough time using English. We learn words, we learn grammar, we watch videos, we save posts, we buy books, and then someone asks us a very simple question. How was your day? And suddenly, nothing. Our brain says, sorry, English is currently unavailable. Maybe you've had that experience too. Anyway, I left home around 9. I had a few things to do, so I decided to walk instead of taking a taxi. It wasn't far, and I actually enjoy walking when I have time. I put my headphones on and started listening to something in English. At first, I understood almost everything. Then the speaker said one sentence, and I understood absolutely nothing. Nothing. Not one word. Well, that's not true. I understood the word the. Very useful. Thank you, English. But seriously, this happens all the time. You can't understand most of a conversation. But then one sentence, comes along and completely destroys your confidence. But here's something important. That's normal. That's completely normal. You don't need to understand every word to understand the conversation. So I kept walking. And then something strange happened. I was crossing the street when I heard someone say, "Excuse me." I turned around. There was a woman standing behind me. She was holding a phone. She looked a little confused. She asked me something, and for 1 second, my brain stopped. I didn't understand the whole question. And you know what my first thought was? Please don't make me speak English right now. Which is funny because I make English learning videos. But yes, even English teachers sometimes have that moment. She asked me if I knew where a certain place was. I understood the important part. She was looking for a place, so I didn't try to create a perfect sentence. I just said, "Yes, I know where it is. It's not far from here." And then I explained how to get there. She thanked me and walked away. That's it. That's the whole story. Not very exciting, right? But wait. This is actually the most important part. Because after she left, I realized something. I had understood her. But even though I didn't understand every word, and I had answered her without translating every sentence in my head. For maybe 30 seconds, I wasn't studying English. I was just using it, and that felt different. So I kept walking and I started thinking about how we learn languages. Imagine to want to learn how to swim. You can watch 10 videos about swimming. You can read a book about swimming. You can memorize the names of different swimming techniques. But at some point, you have to get in the water. English is the same. At some point, you have to get in the water. And sometimes the water is uncomfortable. Sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes you don't understand someone. Sometimes you say something completely wrong. But that's part of, learning. Here's something I want you to try. The next time you speak English and you don't know a word, don't stop the conversation immediately. Don't stop the conversation immediately. Try to explain it another way. For example, maybe you don't know the word umbrella. You can say, it's something you use when it's raining. You don't need the perfect word. You just need to keep the conversation going. That's a very useful speaking skill. By the time I arrived at the place I wanted to go, I was actually feeling much better. I bought something I needed, walked around for a few minutes, and decided to get a coffee. Yes, another coffee. Apparently, one coffee wasn't enough. I sat down, looked around, and started watching people. And I noticed something funny. Almost everyone was doing the same thing. Looking at their phone, checking messages, taking pictures, just scrolling. And I thought, we're all connected. But sometimes we don't talk to the person sitting right next to us. So I put my phone away, and for about 10 minutes, I just sat there no phone, no messages, no Instagram, nothing. And honestly, it felt strange at first. Then it felt really good. Anyway, on my way home, I thought about that woman again. It was such small conversation, maybe 30 seconds, but it gave me more confidence than an hour of studying grammar. And I'm not saying grammar isn't important. It is. Vocabulary is important too. Reading is important. Listening is important. But there is something else. You have to give your English a chance to come out, even if it's not perfect, especially if it's not perfect. Because if you wait until your English is perfect before you speak, you may wait forever. So here's your little challenge for today. I'm going to ask you one simple question, and I don't want you to translate. Don't write your answer. Don't think about grammar. Just speak. The question is, what did you do today? What did you do today? Go, tell me. Maybe you woke up late, maybe you went to work, maybe you stayed home, maybe you met a friend, maybe you did absolutely nothing. That's okay too. Start with today and keep talking. I'll give you a few seconds. Good. Now let's make it a little harder. Tell me, what was the most interesting, thing that happened today? What was the most interesting thing that happened today? It doesn't have to be something big. Maybe you saw someone you hadn't seen for a long time. Maybe you received an unexpected message. Maybe you found something you thought you had lost. Maybe you had a strange conversation. Tell me your story. Don't worry about mistakes. Just keep going. Keep going. And now, one last question. How did you feel at the end of the day? Were you tired, happy, relaxed, worried, proud, maybe a little confused? Say it in English. And that's actually what I want you to remember from today's conversation. You don't always need a classroom to practice English. Sometimes your morning can be your English lesson. Your coffee can be your English lesson. A conversation with a stranger can be your English lesson. A mistake can be your English lesson. Even a boring day can be your English lesson. You just need to start noticing the English around you. And more importantly, you need to start using the English you already know. You probably know more English than you think. The problem is that sometimes you are waiting for the perfect sentence. Don't wait. Use the simple sentence. Say what you can. If you don't know a word, explain it. If you make a mistake, keep going. And if you don't understand everything, don't panic. Just keep listening. Because little by little, those simple sentences become easier. And one day, you may have a 30-second conversation with a stranger and only realize afterward, wait, I just spoke English. And believe me, that's a really good feeling. So tell me about your day, not in your first language, in English. Even if it's simple, even if it's not perfect, just a start. I'll see you in the next conversation. Until then, keep listening, keep speaking, and don't wait for perfect English. Use the English you have today.